Now we're there. Looks like we're live. Okay, so hello there, everybody. My name is Zevon Knowles, and this is what I was calling a 30-day video challenge, but now I'm just calling it a 30-day challenge for just generally, because just naming it a video challenge is not exactly doing it justice. The project I'm doing is a little bit bigger than that. I am, excuse me, I am doing 30 days of no alcohol, no drugs, regular sleep, healthier eating, meditation, going to the gym, and whatever small things that I can change in my everyday life that I feel have been holding me back from the kind of self-discipline that I've had before 2016. Because prior to 2016, I was very, very active and very productive and making a lot of video, making a lot of work, and just doing just this level of productivity that I haven't really seen since I opened up my bar. And it became very stressful. It's a lovely thing, and I don't in any way want to say that I regret it or feel bad towards it. It's more that the compromises that I made have taken their toll, and I realize now that if I don't start doing active things to change that, to come back into this level of productivity, I may never see it again. So I wanted to take out all the things that have just kind of happened and that have contributed to my feelings of not being as nearly as productive as I should be. And also, it's there's like personal evolutions, and what I want to say with that, see, this is what I love about this medium, is that's why I called it the 30-day video challenge in the beginning, is because I also wanted to get back into doing what I love to do the most, which is I love to broadcast, I love to make video. This is the water I swim in, and I'm using it as sort of my helper to remember everything that I've accomplished the day before, and to also add a little bit of pressure onto myself, because if I put this onto the public forum, then I feel like I have to do it a little bit more than if I was just to keep it to myself in my head. I should explain, I don't think I would consider myself an alcoholic, in the sense that I felt like I always needed a drink. More that I own a bar, and really ever since, like, maybe about, well, pretty much ever since I moved to Europe in 2004, the lifestyle here just seems to be that there's a lot of alcohol going around at all times. I mean, it's so common to have wine for dinner, beers during the evening, drinks everywhere you go out, and I don't feel like I ever need it, but it's always there. And then I realized that, okay, so I have been drinking pretty much every day for months and months and months, and then it turns into years, and it's like, well, how did that happen? I can take that out. It's not necessary. And the same goes for drugs. And I'm not saying that, okay, so I gotta clarify that a little bit, because I wasn't out shooting up heroin, but the most regular drug that I ever use is marijuana. Pretty much every night, to calm down, to relax, to calm nerves, whatever. And I don't think marijuana is a bad thing, actually, but I think that the amount in which I was using it just created a sort of psychological dependency. And so when I think about it, it's like, oh my God, I've been like getting stoned every day at the end of the day for how long now? It's not necessary, you know? Why? Because what do I do? I have a glass of wine, I have a spliff, and then I just kind of sit around inside my head, or I sit around talking to people, and we're all inside of our heads together. And that time could be spent doing something else. It could be spent reading. It could be spent studying. It could be spent in meditation or going to the gym. And I mean, this is needless to say. Waking up the next day takes about 2 hours before I was like fully awake, and those first 2 hours were often very clumsy and not really, I would say, not really friendly. And depending on how much wine I ended up drinking the night before, maybe I was just hungover too. And these all contribute to like the daily problems a bit. You're not feeling well. You feel like you need to like drink more coffee or caffeine of some sort, or you know always compensating for these physical feelings. And sooner or later, one is in their middle ages. No, you don't say that. One is middle aged and recognizing that it takes longer to get over things. And um, I just want to be more conscious of my health. I want to be more conscious of my habits. I want to be more conscious of my routines and things like that. And so this is where this whole project comes in. And this is, I don't want to be dogmatic. It's not about that at all. It's not about moral posturing. It's not saying, well, I'm doing this, and therefore, all people who drink or all people who do drugs or all people who do chemsex are bad. It's not about that. It's about doing what's right for me at the right time. And this is what it is for me right now. And today, and so I should also say I make these videos after I've completed the day, because I don't want to talk about the things that I'm going to do so much as I'm going to talk about the things that I've already done. And this is an important distinction, because when you talk about the things that you've already done, you're reminding yourself of the accomplishments, and it's sort of a bit of a reward to remind yourself of the accomplishments. Whereas if I say, well, tomorrow I'm going to do this, it's just talk. That's not an action. So I try to keep things in this regard towards the past tense, but I can talk about my goals. And goals are always in the future tense, and that's a difference. But okay, so the first few days, I was just kind of coming into it, kind of getting myself into this and getting myself into the habit of making a video. And yesterday I didn't have a whole lot to say. I was waking up, and then as soon as the video was done and I was going through my day, I was like, I could have talked about that. I could have talked about that. And so that's what I'm going to do today. Today I'm celebrating 5 days of absolute clarity, and what I have been able to do with myself, these daily meditations. Now I'm going into 2 meditations per day, because I've been meditating for years, but then I stopped when did I stop? I did stop at about 2016, and meditation is a very powerful thing for me. I noticed the differences immediately. Like, there's some physical and mental differences right after it's done, and there are some slightly longer term differences in that I have a bit of focus and clarity. That this is the downfall of life. I have some clarity and focus that that I don't have otherwise, and it's brilliant. It's really really brilliant. And today I thought I'm going to talk about this a bit. Um, I've been I find meditation just as addictive as probably anything else. And I know that you can overdo it. I've read a lot about meditation. I've read a lot about the long term effects of people who meditate too much because there's like this you can build a dependency on that feeling to the point where you just get kind of stuck in it. And I keep that aware. So, but I keep my meditations short. Anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes per session is perfectly fine by me. My morning meditation's actually less than 10 minutes, but it's just to kind of like wake up and feel the breath of air and feel the energy in the earth and that sort of thing. It's not necessarily mindfulness. And I've been going to the gym again, which is something that I love to do, and I've always loved to go to the gym. It dropped off in the last few years. I should talk about the last few years because they are the catalyst for what has made this situation now. So um, after when I got started on my bar, it was impossible to keep up with my habits. I had to completely change my sleeping habits to be available here in the building by 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, which is for somebody who's a producer producing their own things. I've always been sort of a night owl. I've always been a night worker. And so I couldn't do those things, but that was okay because I knew that I was building something that was going to support me in the future. But it changed everything. So I would have to wake up early, come in here, deal with the construction people, um, deal with just a monster behind every rock in this building. And it was very stressful. I wasn't able to eat the way that I was normally eating. I made a lot of healthy choices. There was a period of time where I was 6 months vegan just because I wanted to see what the effect was on my health, and I actually enjoyed it very much. Although I wouldn't go vegan again at this point, I think, but I'd go into a more of a moderate veganism, I would say. And but that wasn't possible at the time. It just became about what was available, eating for sustenance, not really for like thinking of your health at that point, because it's just like working really hard. Oh shit, there's like some sandwiches or pizza or something like that, and that was the only thing available, and you just had to eat it. And I had to give up sport, give up going to the gym, and then at the end of the day, I was just so exhausted. Then came the wine, and the grass, and then we got the place open, and then it was just like getting to know about how this place works and how to build events in a different way and how to do this, that, and the other in an environment where there's always a lot of alcohol around. There's always a lot that how can I put that? Well, there was always a lot of alcohol around, and I was never really able to get my sleeping patterns back. And getting back into sport or going to the gym was always a bigger challenge than it used to be. And of course, I never got back into the healthy eating because I wasn't cooking anymore. I was just coming to work and having to order out. So what happened is that some personal things occurred, and I just went down this path that was not very healthy at all. And I had to explore my world. And to be honest with everybody, I don't actually regret that. I'm actually quite thankful for it because it allowed me to get the experiences I needed for the time that I was in. And bring me to this point where I am now, where I'm thinking about myself now and thinking about what I've been a part of, what I've not been doing for myself, and here we are. So lately, I don't want to say that I've been suffering because I'm not suffering, but I've noticed that there is a bit of social pressure to drink. And, of course, working in a bar, that's clear, that's going to be clear. It's always there. And there are people who are around me who like to drink a lot. And I was never really a person who enjoyed the feeling of being drunk. It's not something I like. I feel like being drunk makes me arrogant. It makes me clumsy. And it just, I don't know. It's just something. It's hard to explain. It's like getting there is okay, but then when I realize that I'm drunk, I'm just like I don't feel so good. But the last couple of days, I've had people like I've said openly, oh, I would love to have a glass of wine. I wish I could, but I've chosen. I tell myself I have chosen this. This is something that I want to do, and it's true. It's something that I want to do. It's just that breaking the habit of doing something is going to take a little bit of time before the brain sort of rewires and connects itself differently, so that it's no longer just a habit go-to thing. But I can still complain about it and be like, oh, yeah, I would like to have a glass of wine because I'm watching these people around me just like, and having these conversations, and I can't really follow the conversations quite the same anymore because I feel so much more focused in on my things. Whereas wine would, a drink would maybe kind of relax me down into it and be in a different sort of mindset. I'm waking up still. It doesn't take 2 hours, but it takes at least 45 minutes. Um, and of course, customers, they want to buy you a drink, and it's like, okay, I could do this. I could have a drink if I wanted to. This would break my project. I would have to start over again. Or I would just pick it up again and admit my oopsie and say, okay, last night I had a drink. Do I feel bad about it? Do I feel good about it? Do I, maybe we could analyze that. But I don't want to give myself so much freedom to kind of come off the sides of this project. I really want to keep my focus because this is all coming back down to one thing: imposing self-discipline. Self-discipline doesn't mean that you suffer, but it does mean um, that you commit to what your goal is here. For me, my goal is to make a healthier lifestyle for myself, one that I feel like I deserve, one that I feel like would do me good. I have in the last 9 months um, found myself in a place personally where I have a great deal of freedom to explore myself, to figure out who I am. And a question that occurred to me in this time is like, well, discover what it is that you really want. Are you a kind of person who wants a relationship, doesn't want a relationship, wants a polyamorous relationship, or wants just be single and non-committed and emotionally unavailable, or do you want to, da 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 da. And so over the summer I was very, very wild, and that of course brought a lot of alcohol and drugs as well. And I'm just going to speak openly here because I don't really want to candy coat any shit. This is real life. This isn't some sort of image I'm trying to produce for myself. And so I allowed myself to just be free in the open water and do whatever the moment told me I wanted to do. And I found that within like 2 to 3 months that got very boring. And then autumn came around and I sized down a bit and I gave myself the option of, you know what, I'm just gonna go out once a month now. You know, give myself a weekend where I do whatever I want and see how that goes. And that was okay, except for that I realized I was just repeating the same weekend every time. And I started looking at like what kind of situations I was putting myself into. And we're going to talk about chemsex throughout this entire project. I've done it. I'm not saying anything bad about it. The one thing I hate is I hate dogma. I really, really hate dogma. So I'm just going to say right now, I don't have fundamentally something against chemsex. In the right time, in the right place, with the right person or people, however you choose to do it, it can be very, very fun. And I've had those experiences, and I'm not going to lie to myself as if they never existed. But when that is the standard, when that is the habit, the go to thing, uh, it doesn't become, to me anyway, it becomes more about consumption than it does to about having an experience. The last situation I was in was very, very eye opening, in that I was making a sex date with somebody from an online app, and I get to his place, and lo and behold, it's a sex party, like a Kim sex party. He didn't tell me. He just wanted me to come over and kind of made it seem like it was us two. And then I was like, okay, I'm not a virgin. I know how this works. So I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm open minded. Let's go for it. And but I could not come out of my head. I could not come out of this observation level, no matter what. And at some point, I'm watching this guy like getting fucked by another guy who had like this humongous cock, and all the while this guy is on his back on his phone going through his grinder at the same time, and then kind of like coming out of it to be like, okay, what time is it, could we take some more? And I just thought, this is not about an experience. This is about just this weird disassociative consumption, and this is bringing me nothing. So I got out of that party, and just thought, I don't want a repeat of this. This is no longer fun. This is no longer interesting to me. This is sort of dark, and so cut that out. And I decided I'm only going to make dates with people that that I do something other than plan a sex date with. Do you know? And and since then, it's been like, you know, getting better quality of dates. But who knows? Maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, maybe in 5 years, I decide, oh, I feel for like Kim's sex party. I'm not going to judge this, and I'm not telling anybody else to judge it. And I'm not going to judge anybody who does it, because I also despise moral posturing. You meet these people who have these experiences, these self-help experiences, and they react like the newly converted, and just want to convert everybody around them, or judge everybody around them for not being on the same page. It's not about that. You know what? This is about my journey. This is about my experience, not about anyone else's. So it's none of my business what anybody else wants to do, and I shouldn't give a shit. And I really don't. So no dogma, no moral posturing. And yeah, so I had like a little bit of a list in my head what I wanted to talk about, and I kind of got to it pretty good. Meditation, no alcohol, no drugs, no crazy Kim sex. Gym, I've been changing my gym habits. to be more efficient. I've been going to the gym for years, so I know what I'm doing. I just need to kind of build a new system that works for the kind of effect that I would like. And the healthier choices, I can't commit to uh, like the ultimate optimal healthy choice. I have to always just allow myself to, like, in every choice I make, there's some element of a better option for my own health than, say, junky fast food. So by day 5, one of the first few days, I was just kind of pushing through it, trying to motivate myself to keep going, and felt a little bit of pressure at times to have a drink. But I acknowledged it and just thought, okay, you know what? This is your choice. This is what you want to do. If you do have a drink, I want you to talk about it the next day, because that's part of how this is. This is about the development. So I haven't had a drink, and today I feel really different. I noticed that, the meditation helps. So that when I get back into meditation, I start to see the world a little bit more crisper, a little bit more like with color contrast or something. It's different on how I see the world and how I think about things. It's just this clarity that comes back, and this is what makes meditation for me a little bit addictive. Is because I love this feeling. I love this ability to focus and talk about something and stay on subject a lot more than when I'm not doing it, where it's very easy for me to go off on tangents and do. And today I woke up, I did my meditation, and I feel like I accomplished 5 days out of my 30 days. I am 1/6 through this, and that is something to celebrate. Because if you asked me a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, well, actually, I've been thinking about this for a very long time. Um, what it was going to feel like, how I could imagine what it would feel like coming into 5 days, I think I would have not really, I don't think I would have really been able to express any ideas, because I was just like so caught up in these patterns of behavior that to me, I just saw even getting through 3 days as like this big major challenge. And now it's like, okay, what I need to do now is um, kind of keep all of this in mind and make it to 6 days, and then make it to 7 days, and just do it one day at a time, one moment at a time. And really, if I do end up having a drink, if I do end up doing a drug or kind of coming off of this program, I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. I'm going to come on the video and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to say, shit happens. Get back up, get on your horse, move forward. This is how the world works. And because the ultimate goal here with the self-discipline is to become a better media producer, a better event producer, a better friend, lover, everything, a better creator, and a better self in the end. I want to be the kind of person that attracts productive, constructive people who do good for themselves and do good in the world. I want to attract, if I do find a relationship in the future, I want to attract the kind of person who is putting this kind of energy out into the world, and not, some sort of other energy that's going to ultimately bring me into a dark place or a neutral place where I'm bored. It's like attracts like. It's the law of attraction. And this is also the last bit, because these videos aren't supposed to be so long. This is also about working with the law of attraction. And that is to say that, the energy you put out is the energy you get back. You get what you deserve. And I want to put the energy that I want to put out there is one of perseverance, is one of um, constructive constructionism. I don't know. I just know that I want to attract a different quality of life for myself than what I have been attracting in the past. And this is the only way I see it from this point out. So I hope that this isn't too boring. And of course, if you like it, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. But this isn't about all that either. This is about me just kind of getting through my process. So thank you for joining me, and talk to you tomorrow. Let's see what happens. Today I have a very big show. I am producing a burlesque show here in Berlin in my bar called Ludwig, and so I've got a lot of work to do. So we're going to talk about that and see how the pressure is. Maybe I fall off the wagon. No, I'm kidding.